Treacy, and I'm doing a video interview with Laura Boyle from my group that set up the tent here and sat down in the tent day and night for over 18 weeks long, was it?
Yeah, 18 weeks in the tent to the day, 125 days. And there was about 3 or 4 weeks before that as well of deliberations and discussions. So it's been 5 months, I suppose.
And in the period of time that went on, what media did any reporting on this? Was there anyone that did any specific?
Yeah, Virgin Media did a short piece with us, to be fair. Virgin Media. They did not give us prior warning that they were coming. They just arrived, and I just happened to be here. I was able to run down to them. But what transpired was that they had spoken to the Fermoy Mallow Against Division, which Kate O'Connell and Chris O'Connell, who are people who live in the town.
They'd spoken to them prior to the country,
and they had quotes from them, and they put them, and they just arrived on spec and jumped on us in the tent, so we weren't ready for them. But luckily, I was around because it's intimidating, a TV crew arriving.
Of course.
But they reported us. Fair enough.
Can you just give me the names of those two people that you said there on the video there?
Kate O'Connell and her mother Chris O'Connell are the two.
Kate and Chris O'Connell, is it?
Yeah, her mother is
and who are these people?
Well, Kate O'Connell, we believe she runs a page called Fermoy and Mallow Against Division. But she has said since Abbeyville was populated that she's taking the page down, it has done its duty, that she only set it up to counter us, I guess.
As a counter.
Yeah. In the Avenue today, there is an article, and luckily we put in a statement to counter, but Farmad, sorry, that's a slip of the tongue, but it's FAMAD, Fermoy and Mallow Against Division, and we affectionately in the tent have been calling them Farmad. But they were quoted again in that Avenue article. And early on in all of this, I know some of these people and some of her friends, and I know where her mother lives. And I asked them, and I gave my number to some of their friends, saying, please talk to me. I gave her friend my number. I reached out to some of them on Facebook, other members of that Fermoy Mallow Against Division, because I knew them. And I said, please talk to me, you know where my house is. Come and sit and talk to me. I tried to get some discussion with these people, and I was blanked, ignored, cut out, excluded for the past 5 months from any dialogue on the topic. And I live 4 doors up from where all this was happening, and I've burst a gut to try and...
Let me ask you a question in relation to the Avenue. Did they quote anything from your group?
They did. Today's article they did, because we, luckily, one of our members, and with 2 or 3 others of us, put together a statement, and we got it into the Avenue, but we volunteered that information. They didn't come to talk to us. So the
Avenue never approached you?
Now, the day they moved people into Abbeyville, they did go to the tent. I think her name is Katie. She's one of the reporters for the Avenue. She did go down to the tent. I wasn't there. I was in Italy. It was coming back, and she spoke to 2 or 3 people down there. But what I saw in the article today in the Avenue, it was all based on the statement we issued, the written statement we issued, which we only sent them late Tuesday evening, I think.
Well, I wonder, Laura, did it ever occur to you here as you were talking that did you just while you were in Italy, did they know you were going to Italy?
A few people have suggested that, because I know that they've been following the Save Abbeyville page, Facebook page. So I wouldn't have said that, but on Tuesday I would have put up a post saying, oh, look, I'm in Italy for X, Y, and Z meeting. Now, I don't know. Why would they? I don't know what I could have done extra if I had been here. But I do feel, Sean, and this might, I don't know how this sounds, but I've been very much excluded, even compared to other members of the group. And I really feel that because I make a huge effort, very evidence-based discussion and very diplomatic, and I try and steer a very calm, diplomatic, balanced course, that it blows some of their arguments out of the water, because a lot of their arguments are very emotional based and very provocative, and I try and I don't fall for it. So I know that they're not really willing to debate with me, because I have the facts and figures, I have the diplomacy, and I have the calmness to appeal to people's rationale. And I know that a lot of the people on the extreme, you know, refugees are welcome, or the whole of Africa is welcome into Fermoy, they don't have that. All they have is emotion. And when I say refugees are welcome. Genuine people fleeing horrors and female genital mutilation and war. But we know that we are not getting all of it, that we are getting many, 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 many other people that are not fleeing anything, and they're coming here as economic migrants. So I just have to console myself with the hurt and the scorn I feel that the reason they don't want to talk to me, are they scared of me? I don't know. But maybe I might blow a little hole in their narrative if they talk to me, that I don't represent this big boogeyman they're trying to portray us all as. I'm a simple, rational, concerned mother who happens to live 4 doors up.
As I listen to there, Laura, I hear what you're saying, and I do. I think they're being very disrespectful. I think you're an Irish person living a few doors up from this. You have young children walking down the street past.
Yeah.
You don't know who they are. The question I'm going to ask this to the superintendent here. Like most people that saw what happened on last Thursday, thought it was probably the most cowardly act in the history of our state, actually. I mean, people are really very hurt and disgusted. And the thing, I didn't know, actually, that you weren't there. I didn't know until you taught me today, but did they know? And were they not, like as you said, why didn't they approach the group? What was wrong with talking to the people? If these people are genuine people gone into that house, why did they not speak to you? You're entitled to know who's moving into the law.
But you see, I have to go back to that point, John, because they would say, and Leo Varadkar, I believe, said it in the Dáil at some stage, no one has a right to know who's moving into their community. And you could say, maybe that is so, but when you yourself and your own data are telling us that so many people are illegal and criminals, in fact, because if you arrive at the country without a passport, you have already broken international law. No matter what else you ever did, you are now a criminal. So if criminals are entering our country, we do have a right to know who they are and the demographics of who's in that house down there. And the fact that they were ushered in under such secrecy and sneaky, sinister means would suggest that there is something to hide. Nobody knows, by the privileged few in polite society that have had a direct line to the Gardaí and the Roger O'Gorman's department, they have been privy to all the details of who is living in my neighbourhood 4 doors down from me, and I have none. And I am entitled to, considering the government's own data shows a huge proportion of people arriving here as criminals. There's something very fishy going on in Abbeyville, and an article by Gript yesterday also confirms that. The people that are down there, the secrecy around the true ownership and their sister companies that they say they have, and yet the taxpayer is paying the owners of this house hundreds of thousands.
We walked past there a while ago, and there's a lot. I walked past it there twice today, and I can see a lot of men inside now.
Yeah, it's very obvious.
Yeah.
It's very obvious. And the other thing that we're seeing just from passing up and down, and we always did, my husband and I, we have a dog, we're always up every day, every hour of the day we could be walking around this community here. The house, we have to go back to one of the main concerns about the house. Like, we are throwing away not only our tourism industry, our education of our young people, we're throwing our young people out of the country, but our heritage and our culture, and that house is part of our heritage. And if we go back to the original, some of the original concerns were about the defacement of that house, which is a protected structure, and I live here in a protected structure. I'm not allowed to do anything to the house. And that house is not suited. When we pass, the windows are all fogged up with condensation. The windows, in fact, are sash windows. Very dangerous to have young children in a house with sash windows. They open from the bottom. We've seen children hanging out the window. There's on so many levels. This is wrong for the safety of us, the safety of the people in the house, breaking the law on the planning side, very likely, breaking the law on health and safety. The people in there breaking the law coming into the country illegally, and then the companies who are profiteering from it not being transparent in terms of their affiliations and their background. And the other thing is, we don't keep records on the nationality of perpetrators of crime in this country. Other countries do. And countries that do keep records of the nationality of the criminals, it shows clear associations between the nationalities and increases in crime, or with the rate of immigration and the increase in crime. So don't tell me that for some reason Ireland is different, or the immigrants coming to Ireland are different, and they are not associated with an increase of crime, because all the other countries where they keep records about the criminals.
In relation to the article that came out on the Echo Live, did Echo Live contact you at all?
No.
So why do you think they didn't contact? They seem to have contacted Kate and Chris O'Connor. They seem to have contacted the police here as well.
But you see, you can't contact or speak to people who are scum as they've deemed us. You can't be seen to give us airtime or air. You can't. They can't break that narrative. They can't stray from the narrative that we are dangerous far-right racists, and we don't do business with dangerous far-right racists. So that's why they're not talking to us. But it is I am trained, and I this is my work in solving complex problems. And we are taught, and it's my daily bread and butter, you have to bring all stakeholders to the table if you're trying to reach agreement or a solution.
Do you know that that's not an Irish owned paper? That paper is owned by Icon Media, which is a British company.
Yeah, so you have a British company and a British paper deeming to exclude a huge cohort of Irish society.
Isn't that exclusion?
Yes, absolutely. Exclusion is actually a form of bullying.
Exactly, yeah.
So we are being bullied, a huge cohort of the town, and the people who stood with me and all the people who signed the petition were excluded from this dialogue, excluded by a British company, facilitated by an Irish reporter who lives in the town, and who deemed not to speak to us, who
Isn't that gross disrespect?
Absolutely gross disrespect, yeah.
It is probably, I don't know how to describe it, but it is so disrespectful to people that sat down there and put your point of view for 18 weeks. And not one of these people that trade in our country as an English company would approach one of you. No. For a comment prior to what happened.
And then they posted, of course, a gross lie about a court order being issued to move the tent.
But there's a question in relation to Chris or Kate and Chris. They said they knew who was coming in here for months prior to this. Yeah. And on that article, they stated that they knew. Yeah. So I presume that they have made a legal statement there that they know who these people are and that there is nobody inside that house, that they can vouch for these people and that there is none of them illegal in any shape or form in the country. Yeah. So this will have to be, I'm going to check this out now as I was reading it on the article.
But we will hold them directly accountable, Chris.
Yeah,
I will be holding them. If anything happens, any of my friends or my children, I will be holding. I have all the names. I know all the players who were privy to Roger O'Gorman's office, his minions that were liaising, to the police, to Tusla, to all the bodies that came into this town in the past 4 or 5 months and sat with the Fermoy Mallow Guest Division people and other people who I know the names of. It will be on their heads if anything happens anyway.
And are they solicitors or they have say legal training or anything like that?
No, that they are just self-appointed governors of the town.
Well, Miss O'Connell, as far as I can see on that article, she was stating section 69 of the Road Traffic Act to get you removed. Under what basis did she do that herself? How would she have done that?
I would say because they're probably in regular daily contact with the Gardaí and whatever legal efforts they were making to get us moved. She had all this prior information from the guards. They're probably telling her that we'll get them moved under this. So she was able to confidently state that in that article when interviewed by the reporter. She had all the inside and background information. How could she have had it to hand otherwise? This was all their conspiracy to get us moved. But we went of our own volition proudly, and I'm really, really very grateful.
Did they threaten people on the street out there?
Pardon?
Did they threaten any of the protesters, the guards? What
No, they threatened
they
us
asked
in
you
terms
to?
of telling us that if we weren't gone, they did threaten us because they told us that our mere presence was intimidating the people in the house, and that while the house was empty, it was fine that we were there, but given that the house was now full, we were deemed intimidatory. Now, this was in spite of the fact that we didn't open our mouths to anyone passing, and I would argue if our mere presence was intimidatory, well then I'm entitled to say that their mere presence 4 doors down from me is intimidatory.
Well, I can see that. My God, I mean, if I was living close to that house there with all those people, foreign people who come into our country, nobody knows, no one has told you who they are. You're local people living in a local community, and now you have to walk up and down past that every day. I saw a family over there a while ago, 4 of them over there.
And Sean, the very first day that I went into Abbeyville, when I saw them erecting this barricade, so initially they were erecting a big high barricade between the two houses, and that's what twigged our suspicions from day one. I spoke to the guy putting in the security cameras there, and his advice to me was, this was 5 months ago, his advice to me, which rings in my ears to this day, update your own security detail in the house, because I told him I live 4 doors up, and he said, I'm doing these jobs all over the country, and I'm telling you now, get your own security detail.
So you must now go along and spend thousands of euros to get a security system because they're bringing in undocumented people and you don't know who they are.
No.
It's off the wall, completely and truly.
It is, yeah.
Now listen, thanks very much. We will come back to this now because there's a lot of stuff in there that needs to be checked out here. A lot of the legal issues and stuff here, and I wish the group well, and it was beautiful talking. Thank you
so much. Thank you.